fellow travelers, and welcome to the Traversing the Stars podcast. Today's special guest is Francois Chau. You know him as Walter in The Tick and the Shredder in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. Now come join me as we go traversing the stars. Hello, Mr. Chau. Thank you so much for coming to the Traversing the Stars podcast.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
It's totally my pleasure. You were in some very important shows for me growing up, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which we'll hit in just a moment.
Alrighty.
So I always like to start with a question of inspiration. So what inspired you to become an actor, and who were your earliest influences?
Okay, inspired me. I don't know if it inspired me. I was, I think maybe sophomore, junior year in high school. I started doing plays in school. Just to find something to do, and I found wow, this is kind of fun. This is something I'd like to do, and of course I kept doing it, and I was a straight A student up until then, and I mean I was getting letters of invitations from all these Ivy League schools to apply for college and stuff, and then I started doing plays, and by senior year, those letters didn't come anymore. I thought, oh, okay, I guess maybe this is a sign. So yeah, I mean, there was something lucky that I discovered I like to do, and then and for me to be able to do it now is amazing. Yeah.
So, what was it about performing in plays that captured your imagination?
I don't know. It felt. I mean, like I say, it was fun, but it felt. It was something that I don't want to say comfortable, but it was almost like, hey, this is something that this is kind of an ease to it that I found that I was not. I didn't have stage fright. I didn't worry about standing in front of a bunch of people and just maybe I think from an early age, I loved movies and TV. So I probably watched more TV and movies than a whole lot of people put together. But and then that's the kind of world you get lost in, and I found it very it was very pleasing to be able to say quote act and to play different parts and to do something. And I thought, oh, I kind of like this. This is pretty. I don't know how. I was probably terrible, but I thought, no, this feels good.
Can you remember some of the plays you were in and some of the roles you had?
Well, let's see. It's it's funny. Even before high school, when we do it in grade school, elementary school, when we do the Christmas play and stuff, I was always one of the wise men.
Oh, wow.
I wonder why.
Just a sign of your great intelligence, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. But no, I did, of course, in high school, we do all these, the sort of musicals that, I mean, we did these old musicals. I think we did one called Carnival. I was aroused about. I didn't even know what that was at the time, but hey. What else did we do? Jesus is like, you can't take it with you. I was the Russian guy, the friend of the family, I guess. But a bunch of other stuff. And I did Godspell. I was John the Baptist. That was kind of fun. But yeah, that kind of stuff was like, oh, it's not just the doing the show itself. It's the camaraderie, the whole. It's like the theater family that you get. I mean, I truly, thinking back, I truly was a theater geek in high school. It was like, oh, this is where I belong. I wasn't a jock, and I wasn't a smart in terms of academics, but I thought, hey, this is it. This is good. These people are like me.
Well, you've had a very impressive movie and television career. Have you considered going back to theater, or have you gone back to theater since you've become a TV movie star?
I love theater, but to be honest, let's see, I'm trying to remember the last theater production I did here in Los Angeles was maybe wow, uh 11, 12 years ago. And not because I don't the opportunity hasn't arisen, but um it's timing. Um, as you get older, you have other obligations, family,
Mm,
stuff like that. When I was younger and single, man, I was, I lived here and I would go off and do regional theater uh, 2, 3 times a year,
mm,
go off to do a play somewhere for 2 months and then come back and stuff like that. But that's just not feasible now.
mm.
And also to be completely honest, at my age now, boy, I've gotten really lazy. It's like it's like, oh, theater, huh? Oh, play. Okay, let me see. Wait a minute. That means there's rehearsal like all day long. And then once the play opens, it's like 8 shows a week, and then this and that. And it's like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll just stick to something, stick to TV and film right now.
I think the word you're looking for is comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. I mean, unless an incredible part comes up, something that you will never get a chance to do again, I would say, yeah, sure, of course, and I try to figure out how to do it. But
Mm,
it's not. I mean, to be honest, it's not my first, you know,
mm.
uh, first choice, unless I was independently wealthy or I won the lottery or something that I wouldn't have to worry about, uh, you know, life.
Mm. Well, I actually did some research on you because as I do always do with my guests,
Hmm.
and I was amazed at how many places you lived. You lived in Cambodia, Saigon,
Hmm.
France before you moved to the United States. These
Right.
are very diverse places. How had living in all these different locations, how did that form you into the person you are now?
I think it really is a big influence. I mean, I say I was born in Cambodia, and we moved to Saigon when I was, boy, it must be like 5 years old, maybe. And then my mother and I left Saigon on the way to the States. I lived in France with a foster family for that must be like a year and a half. While my mother went ahead, came here, and
Mm,
set up life for us. Then I came here, and then even here, we lived in Washington D.C. and we lived in Delaware and then Washington D.C. And then for like 2 years, we moved and we lived in Africa,
oh
in the
wow.
Republic of the Congo.
Holy crap. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, yeah, I was there for a couple of years. Uh, my stepfather had a job that took him there, so yeah, it was wild. It was like I went to the American school there, and a whole bunch of uh, Americans living there, like a lot of families I worked for, like Pan Am then, and stuff
Mm,
like that. So then I moved back to the States, mostly on the East Coast, Maryland, Washington D.C. again, and then finally after school I moved to LA. LA is the place I've been the longest, I would say. I mean, I've been here almost 40 years. So yeah,
oh wow.
yeah.
So what does that mean to you having lived in having so many different experiences, so many different places? There's something that you learn specifically about maybe people in general, different cultures that you've been able to utilize in your own lives?
Yeah, I think it gave me a more, I don't know, this sounds kind of pretentious, but a more maybe uh, continental outlook on life
Mm,
that I wouldn't have had if I had, say, been born in the States here and just lived here all my life and not
mm,
traveled. Uh, yeah, being in different countries and different environments really, it just gives you a different outlook on things.
mm,
Um, not, I don't know, good or bad, but it's different from just being in one place, I guess.
mm,
Um, and languages. When I was born in Cambodia, I, my first language is French. I spoke French and Vietnamese. I left Vietnam, and on the way over here, like I said, I lived in France for a while. Spoke nothing but French, and at a young age, forgot all my Vietnamese. I mean, to this day, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had retained it. Uh, I came here, I had to learn English, and to this day, French is still I'm still pretty good at, but I can when I hear people speak Vietnamese, I know they're speaking Vietnamese. I just don't understand what they're saying anymore. I'm like, I know what language that is. Man, yeah.
So, having to learn English at a later point and knowing France and at least at some point knowing Vietnamese,
Mhm.
does that give you a better understanding of the language itself? You've had to learn it multiple languages and different kinds of I'm sure the grammar and all that is all different places. Does that also
Y-
allow you to become a better maybe reader and or analyzer of words?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, of course, when you're young, at that age, the language is easier to pick up.
Mm.
You're like a sponge. You just absorb everything. I literally, I think it took me maybe, oh, geez, maybe 8 months or something, maybe a little more to learn English.
Oh
Because of
wow.
course, I learned a lot of it watching TV, watching like the old Star Trek and all those shows from the 60s and 70s.
Mm.
I was like, oh my God, I'm in heaven. If I could just sit here all day long watching TV, that would be great. Um, but I guess I don't know about other anybody else, but picking up like I took Spanish in high school, and that was pretty easy to pick up because I guess maybe it's similar to the French and so
Mm.
forth. And other languages, uh, Asian languages, a lot harder. My wife is Japanese American, and she speaks Japanese fluently, so that's a little easier for me to pick up if I have to do it, right? But
Mm.
other languages, Chinese, Mandarin, man, that's just totally foreign to me. We did a I was in China a few years, well, 10 years ago, shooting a movie, and wow, I had never felt so uh, out of place. It really, it was amazing. I thought, oh look, hey, I'm in an Asian country. I should fit right in.
Yeah.
But boy, the language is so hard, and everything was just felt like, oh my God, I guess, man, I'm too American now. I guess it was like I come back and I'm going, oh man, okay, I gotta learn Mandarin. Of course I did. Of course I didn't. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's pretty funny. Was that for that was for a movie you were in when you moved when you were in China for a while?
we shot a what was it? We did a movie called 21 and Over. Right? It was yeah, that was 2011, I think. Anyway, there was some Chinese money in it. So I guess there was some investment from China. So because of that, we had to go and shoot some stuff over there, some
Mm.
extra stuff for the Chinese market, I guess, or that was the stipulation. So a bunch of us went over and shot a couple of scenes. We were not in Beijing. We were in a little. They said, "Oh, you're going to be in this little town. It's about 2.5 hour ride out of Beijing, airplane ride out of Beijing. This little town. I can't remember the name exactly, but we get there and it's like this little town is like a big city, right? It was like, wow, this is a little town. This is weird. Um, so we shot there for a while and then stayed in Beijing for a while and then came back. Yeah, it was a fun experience. One of the perks of being an actor is you get to travel to places
Mm.
you probably normally would never think of going to.
Mm.
Uh, yeah.
I would definitely envy that life. I've only traveled out of the country twice. I
Yeah.
always want to do it way more times. I've been to Canada, which is I guess it
Uh-huh.
counts to me. The one's like the first state is that, but it counts. It's another country.
Hey,
And
yeah.
I spent some time in Costa Rica for a little while. But
Oh, cool.
I always wanted to travel further, so I envy what you've accomplished. So that's so
Oh,
cool.
it's yeah, it is. It's I think I've uh for acting, I think I've gone to I mean, I went to Australia, Sri Lanka. Thailand, I think, a bunch of places, London. It's great. It's just, it's like it's good to be traveling on somebody else's dime.
So when you're choosing your next role, you're like, what country have not been to yet? I want to go
Yeah, exactly,
to.
exactly, exactly. I was just saying to somebody the other day. I was reading. This is years ago. I was reading a book by Michael Caine, I think. It's
Hmm.
like his autobiography or something, and his stories about his acting career. He said, what uh, later on in life, he said one of the first things he checks when they offer him something is, where's the location? Where do I get to go? If it's a good place, then usually he'll sign up for it. If it's not, then he just thinks about it twice.
Well, you were in law, so that means you filmed in Hawaii then for a while too, I imagine.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
that must have been a very strenuous shoot
Uh,
in Hawaii for a while.
hey, someone's got to do it, right?
Right.
I miss those trips. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go on location, Hawaii is a you know, pretty good place to go.
Indeed. Well, where I know you best is from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze,
Hmm.
where you played
Right.
Shredder, which is obviously for anyone who grew up in my generation is one of the biggest villains there ever was. Shredder.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, if you grew up in the '90s, Shredder was like one of the big bad. I mean, if there's the Joker, there's like Lex Luthor, there's
Right.
Shredder. You're all in the same boat.
Right.
So how did you
Right.
get involved with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2? And did you know anything about the property? Because it had already had that first movie prior
Hmm.
to getting the role.
Yeah. No, I had read the comics even before the first movie.
Oh wow.
Um, and yeah, I used to be a big comics guy. I would just go to the store every week and stock up and.
Mm.
But yeah, I had read the comics, and then I saw the first movie, which I thought was really great. I
Yes.
mean, going into it, you go, "How are they going to do this?" Right? You got but then with the guys in the suits and all that stuff was like, "Oh wow, it's for 1980 late 80s, it was like, wow, this is pretty good. This is pretty
Mm.
cool."
Jim Henson, the Jim Henson
Yeah.
Company.
And then I didn't know anything about it, but then I got a call from my agent saying, "Hey, I have this audition for you. It's for this Ninja Turtles movie or something." And I said, "Oh, okay." And yeah, it was for the Shredder. And I thought, "Oh, I wonder what happened," because the Jimmy Saito who played the Shredder in the first movie. I mean, I know him way back from doing stuff with him here in LA. And I auditioned. Lucky for me, I got the part, and off to Wilmington, North Carolina. I went, and uh, it was, at that point in my life, in my career, it was like, oh my God, I got a job. It didn't matter what it was. Right? It's like, oh, this is great. I'm off for like 5 weeks doing this, something that I want to do. And yeah, it was. I mean, of course, and now. Uh, I've been doing a bunch of these Comic Cons and stuff, and it's just amazes me how it has endured, how this
Mm.
the Ninja Turtles stuff is, and basically because of guys like you who come up to me and say, "Oh my God, you were the nightmare of my childhood. You scared me so." Oh, you were so great. I love the Shredder with it. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, I mean, what does that mean to you that you still all these years later, the character just endures with the generation? I mean,
Hmm.
we people of my generation, we still look to like I said, the Teen Ninja Turtles, and I must admit, at 42 years old, I still watch the damn movies regular. I'm still a
Yeah,
big fan.
yeah.
It is what does that? I mean, how does that make you feel about what you did to know that audiences still hold on to it this many decades later? 'Cause it's been almost
It's a very
30 years,
Yeah. So a little more than I think a
31.
yeah, 31 years is the
Yep.
anniversary. It's very humbling to be, to go, oh my God, I'm lucky enough to be a part of something like this that you just go, wow, it's amazing. They really can't describe, but people come up to you and say, hey, that character was amazing to me and it stayed
Mm.
with me and stuff like that. And of course, you don't think of anything like that when you're doing it, right? You just, you try to do the best you can, whatever comes out is that's it. But yeah, it, it's like they say humbling. It's you know, and you feel very you feel very lucky to have that in your belt. Yeah.
Mm. Now, when you're when you're doing the convention scene, do you find that most of the people in line are the older folks like me, or do you think that, or is a lot of like the new kids, new generations are now turning to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies?
It's both. It's guys around your age coming up and saying, "Hey, you were my favorite during when I was a kid," and at the same time, they're bringing their children with them and telling me, "Yo, now see, I just introduced them to
Mm.
Ninja Turtles and they love it," kind of thing, right? So the next generation is or the next generation is being introduced to it, and it's like they're passing on their passion for it to their kids. It's really great. So it's a lot of both. Um, mostly a little bit
Mm.
older people um, who are in line for the Ninja Turtle stuff, for the Shredder stuff.
Now, I believe you said you do have a family now. Did with I assume that you have kids. Have they
Mhm.
seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie that you're in?
Yeah, my daughter's like 16 and a half now. Yeah, she's seen the movies. She's like, yeah, it's okay. It's
It's like whatever, Dad.
yeah, she's waiting for me to get to be something to get into the Marvel universe, I think.
Oh yes.
She's a Marvel nut, so she loves everything. So she's going, hey, next time you see this person, if you see this person, you know, let me know, kind of thing.
Well, if anyone's from Marvel watching this show,
Yeah,
get Mr. Chow into a movie right now.
yeah.
It must happen. So when you played Shredder, like you said, was in the second one. The first one
Mhm.
was played time Shredder was performed. It was James Sato. You said is that how you pronounce?
Saito.
Saito
Yeah.
performed it. So when
Mhm.
you're playing Shredder, did you look towards Saito's performance, or did you try to make it more of your own? How did that performance come about?
It was not the. Uh, I didn't really try to make it the same as James. I mean, the character itself is not. You can't really deviate too far from what, what he has to be.
Yeah.
So, and the way they did it, so that, because if you remember in the first movie, Shredder gets pushed into that garbage pile, and we figure he's had it.
Yep.
So they resurrect him in the second movie, and my hand pops out of the big garbage pile, and I climb out of it, and I'm a little more scarred and all that stuff. And but basically, I depend a lot on, I want to say, imagination,
Mm.
so that it's not really, I don't I, I don't know what I kind of research I could have done for the Shredder. I mean,
Mm.
I couldn't go out. I didn't want to go out and recruit a bunch of guys to be to be my henchmen and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's imagination. Uh, and it helped a lot that I was big into comics. I read a lot of
Mm.
comics, and I knew what the frame of mind was kind of for that kind of stuff.
I think we all do need henchmen. A group of people who can be like, "Hey, go out and do that for me.
Yeah,
go
yeah,
go to the grocery
exactly.
store for me, henchman."
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when most people play, most people talk about villains. They always say that in the villain's mind, he's the hero of his own story,
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
With Shredder, is he? Do you approach it the same way, or is Shredder pretty much just bad, one way
I,
or another?
as you know, I've played a lot of villains so far, and never have I ever thought of myself as the the bad guy or the villain. I don't think any villain thinks himself as the
Mm,
bad guy. I don't know if they think of themselves as the hero, but it's just like, oh, I need to accomplish something, and this is how I'm going to do it, and you know, I'll do whatever it takes, I guess. That's the kind of thinking that is good. Obviously, will make you a villain if you're going to be doing bad stuff.
yeah.
So, yeah, no, I never thought the Shredder was the, the movie is now called Shredder. It's so yeah, no, but I never thought of it as like, oh, I'm the bad guy. I have to act evil and stuff like that. No, you just you do what you have to do to get those turtles. I got to do what I have to do.
uh, how fun is it to do the villain dialogue? Because Shredder has so much good villain dialogue, and that must have been really
Yeah,
a treat to play.
it was fun, and then of course a lot of fans will come up and they all have their own favorite quotes or whatever that they would love to have me sign on the picture and stuff. And there's a bunch of them that they're babies or stuff like that. Yeah.
Is that the one that the most popular is their babies line from, or is there another one that you think is more popular?
That's pretty high up there, I would say. They're babies. I think what else was there? Oh, there is only one thing next: revenge. That's a pretty. That might be a close second.
Yeah. When you're playing Shredder, obviously you're getting into character, you're gonna be like all angry and kind of serious. You're playing against these guys in latex. Does
Yeah,
that make it harder to stay like in like serious character? Because they're funny and they're Teenage Mutant Turtles. They're kind of
yeah.
funny and goofy characters. It's harder to
Right.
stay in character and serious during those scenes.
Uh, you know, I have to think back because, like you say, it's been 31 years, and I didn't, I don't remember having that hard a time. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm always cast as the bad guy. I think I must be doing something. I must be pretty good at it because um, it's no, I never thought about it was fun, but when you look back on stuff, it is kind of I look back on it now and I go, wow, those guys in the suits. At that time, I just kind of a lot of times I felt sorry for them because it was so hard to work in those suits and things.
Mm.
But uh, you know, they did a great job. It was better them than me in those suits.
Well, I mean, you didn't have it that easy either. I mean, Shredder has some heavy gear that you're wearing as Shredder. I mean, the helmet alone seems like that was pretty heavy.
Yeah, well, for some reason, the helmet was the only thing that was real. I mean, it was a metal helmet that for the Secret of the Ooze. I don't know what Jimmy wore in the first one, but the rest of the costume for me was just regular sort of um, cosplay. Not even up to par to cosplay people what they do today. But yeah, the helmet was heavy, and then they in the second one they introduced this big cape on him, right?
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't know why that was there either, but that took a little while to get used to walking around,
Mm.
moving around with that big heavy thing hanging on you and making it look kind of like you knew what you were doing. So yeah, that took a little practice.
So, if memory serves, in that movie, you have the helmet on throughout the entire movie. You don't
Right,
let you take it off. How
right.
does having that helmet on at the whole time affect how you perform? How you perform the character? Because I mean, once again, you lose facial features mostly. I assume
Yeah,
during it.
yeah. I mean, you got the helmet and you have the mask, so basically all you see are my eyes. And uh, one of the reasons I think they kind of changed things for the second movie was the understanding was that the first movie, uh, some people felt it was a little too dark or violent
Mm.
for little kids. So the second movie basically is it's like a Nickelodeon kind of thing, right? It's very campy and fun
Right, right, right,
and stuff like that. And Shredder doesn't really do any fighting. He just sort of orders his guys to
right,
do the
right.
fighting. He's kind of standing there going, "Hey, Tokar, Raza, go get them," kind of thing. So basically, I didn't have to move too much, and a lot of it was just more. The shots were more close up, of my face as
Mm.
opposed to me having to move around and stuff. So it wasn't too bad. It was just, I guess, you know, uh, it, it's what amazes me though was that basically, like I said, you saw it with my eyes, but I remember after I did that and I was shooting something else like a year later, and I was on set in this. little boy came up and said, brought this little girl with him, came up and they were like, "Oh, it's him, it's him." Hey, how are you? No, and he goes, "Yes, yes, it's the Shredder." And I was like, "Holy cow! How do you guys know it was me?" You know, and he said,
Yeah.
"No, no, we recognize you." So I guess it's for little kids. It's it's kind
Mm.
of burned into your memory of what the character looks like.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I had a Secret of the Ooze book. I think it was like the movie book that they have of it, with like the photos inside and everything. That it Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like I said, it really did stick with my generation. It was one of those seminal movies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, when you're playing the Shredder, how badly did you want to jump in and do some fight scenes? Like, did you ever be like, "Hey, can I jump in and do some, kick someone's ass"?
Yeah, yeah. No, I would have loved to have done something. I mean, I've on and off. I've been training in martial arts most of my life. Like I started when I was, I think, 12 years old, and I teach class a couple of nights a week here in LA. So, yeah, that would have been a lot of fun to do. The reality of the business is that, they don't let you do too much of that stuff because they don't want you to get hurt. They always
Mm,
have a stunt guy, unless it's really, I always, um, it's one of my sort of pet peeves when I watch these action movies and I see the actor and it switches to, the stunt person doing the stuff and then it switches
yeah.
back and I go, wait a minute. I know that's not him. Come on, at least try to get it like something, right? Um, but
Mm,
yeah, no, I wish I had opportunity to do because that stuff is fun to do. I mean,
yeah.
the few chances I've gotten to do it, I was like, oh man, this is great.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the Tick when you played
Hmm.
Walter. There's a fight scene in the Tick with
Right,
the character of Walter, but he has the bag over his head. And
right.
is that you or is that the Sun person?
Okay, here's the scoop behind the story.
Okay.
That was the stunt person. I go there and they had all the stunt team had already planned it all out,
Mm.
and obviously they keep the bag on because it's not it's a stunt guy.
Right, right, right.
And I'm thinking, well, geez, logically, if I like knock down the first two guys, right, I would just take the bag off so I could see what I was doing,
Right, right.
kick ass all the rest of the guys, and then put the bag back on at the last second when, so that
Mm.
Arthur doesn't know it's me kind of thing. Uh, so we go there today. I see they show me the stunt, and I go, hey, that's pretty good. I can probably do that. And they were like, if you rehearse with us, we feel better about it. It was back and forth, and I said, okay, well, why don't you start the fight, and we'll cut, and then the Kage, the stunt guy, will step in and do the rest. And I said, okay, but even that was just, it was like, after a few takes, I was like, you know what, you guys do the whole thing. This is stupid. I'm just gonna, you know.
Mm.
Uh, but and then in this the second season, uh, they realized that I had some martial arts background, so I got to do all the stunts in the second season, which was
Mm.
really a blast.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be your Walter is revealed in season 2 to be a member of Aegis.
Right.
Um, Unfortunately, if the series ends on a cliffhanger,
Yeah.
if memory serves. Do you know where they're going to take your character if the series has continued?
I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know where they're going to take the character, but I think the character Walter was going to be, uh, you know, pretty major, not major, but a good part of the third season, or
Mm.
however long it's going to be, because they really set up stuff that, oh, he's not what he seems, and even at the end when he confesses and this and that, he's still not, quite. There's still some secrets there. So yeah, I would have loved to, like for instance, know why he's so obsessed with everybody's feet,
Yes.
right?
Do people come up to you and repeat that line to you? How's your feet? Or they tell you how their feet are
Yeah.
when they come past.
There's a couple of people have come up to me and said, and say, hey, how are your feet? I'm like, hey, all right. A Tick fan, yay.
It must be a weird thing to be known for, the feet guy.
Well, I have to tell you that, obviously I've been lucky enough to have been the Shredder and then doing that stuff on Lost and all these other things. But playing Walter in The Tick is my absolute favorite thing I've ever done.
Mm.
I keep telling people, man, I have waited 40 years for Walter to come along because
Yeah.
it's basically me. It's basically, Walter. I'm sort of this kind of goofy, geeky, kind of boring guy who's just like loves superhero stuff.
Yeah. So do you prefer comedy more than being the heavy?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's um, but I don't get cast in comedies too often. Uh, I don't know why. uh, but yeah, it's the same stuff. You don't think of it as, oh, now I have to be funny. It's just, oh, this is, you have to just do whatever the character is doing and kind of
Mm.
pretty much commit to it, and that's how it works. So yeah, no, I have no preference.
Because Walter was a fun character. I mean, he's such a good guy. Then you find out
Yeah,
that he's he just gets us like secret agents, and you did want to find out where this all started from and why.
yeah,
Was it an accident that he becomes the stepfather of Arthur, or did it just kind of happen? It just so
right,
happens to be his
right,
connection.
right. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, he does explain. I mean, when he sort of reveals himself, he does sort of explain what happened. He was put in charge of watching over uh, Arthur's family, and then when Arthur's father was killed, he just fell in love with the mom, and kind of you know went on from there. So yeah, no, it was just I wish we had at least a third season to go into more of what was going
Mm.
on.
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, with so much streaming going on, and there's so much revisiting of old shows. I think it's
Yeah,
only been off the air for what, a couple of years now.
yeah, I think I
Um,
think like 4 or 5, 3, 4 years maybe. I don't
yeah,
know. Yeah, yeah,
it's time for him to bring it back. I mean, Amazon Prime is listening. Bring back the Tick for another couple of seasons. We need more Walter.
yeah. I think it's a lot of you never know what goes behind the decisions to cancel the show or to
Mm,
keep it going or whatever. So I think in terms of the Tick, maybe little more politics went into why
mm.
producers left, new producers come in. It's not their baby. It's who knows.
So what are you working on next or now?
I've been doing uh, since I mean usually I do a bunch of guest stars on some episodic TV shows. I did a Good Doctor last year, and before that I did a Chicago. There's a spate of Good Doctor, Chicago Med, and I've been playing a lot of people's fathers. I keep telling the young Asian American actors that I meet that I said, hey, keep an eye on me because sooner or later I'm going to be playing your dad. And sure enough, I'm like a lot of that. But I've been doing that, and I had that PS4 game, Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm,
That was turned out to be a big, huge game. I think, and then a lot. I did another video game. It's a huge business now. All the mocap stuff, and
mm.
I mean, you need actors basically to. It's just like filming a movie. Um, and I'm shooting something now in Vancouver, and I'm not sure I'm supposed to be able to tell anyone yet, so I better not.
When you're
But it's
ready
a fun project.
when you're ready to talk about it, you gotta come back, okay?
Sure. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, of course.
that'd be
Uh,
absolutely fantastic.
yeah. No, I have to. I just. It's it's almost, I would say, in the same vein as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in
Okay.
terms of its fan base.
Oh, okay. That's a hell of a tease you have right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Now we hear every single movie I hear would be like, is that the one? Is that the one?
It's going to be What is it on? Jeez, Netflix. It's a series.
Okay.
Gonna be on Netflix.
Do we kind of know when it may premiere?
I have no idea. We are going to finish shooting in probably around June. So, depending on how much, maybe how fast they want to get onto it. But usually it's about maybe at least, 6 months after that or something like that.
Well, you're going to come on. You're going to talk about it, I hope, when it's time.
Definitely. I think you'll be, you'll be pleasantly surprised as to what it is.
Oh man, now like I got to run through all like the updating all the movies coming out. Be like, could be this one. It could be this one.
Yeah.
Now, do you play a good guy or a bad guy in it?
I guess you could say that he's a bad guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Is this without giving anything away? Is this a special effect heavy movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It uses the technology for filming these days is mind blowing. It really, it's like, ooh, man. Before you would, when we're doing Lost and stuff like that, and they use green screen because we're in Hawaii. It's they have a scene set in somewhere. They it's like, oh, we can't. But the use of green screen is really good, and you could the technology they have now blows that away. Just like, whoa, it's amazing.
Well, Mr. Chau, I look forward to seeing this movie or hearing more about it, and I want to thank you so much for coming to the show.
Oh, you're very welcome. Definitely, have me back when this show opens, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you have my email. If you, because I obviously won't know which movie I'm looking for.
Yeah.
If you know it's about it's completed and you want and talk about release, please reach out to me, and I will definitely set up an interview. You are awesome.
Of course. Thank you, Jay. Nice talking to you.